or bilaterals, some of which proved to be very, very expensive to African countries. So with these many remarks, I'm now happy to now sit down with the panelists, and then we can start this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleague, the panelists. That is the Prime Minister Raila Odinga, the High Representative of African Union on Infrastructure. Here we have the Chairman of African Union himself, my dear friend, His Excellency Musa Faki. The first comments on infrastructure dialogue and development dialogue today, after that presentation, the Prime Minister, shall be from His Excellency Musa Faki, Chairman of AU. We shall all speak sitting here we are. You have the microphone so that we can dialogue among ourselves. Please proceed.
Thank you very much. Please allow me to speak in French, and I hope there is someone who is translating. If not, Mustafa, you can proceed. Merci, Monsieur le Gouverneur. D'abord, je voudrais remercier son honorable Raila Odinga, qui a été nommé par nos soins aux représentants de l'Union africaine sur la question du développement des infrastructures. Cette décision n'a pas été prise par hasard. C'est en tenant compte du background de M. Raila Odinga que nous l'avons choisi pour ses plaidoyers importants et stratégiques pour le continent africain. Je ne sais pas s'il y a traduction. Is there any translation? C'est toi? Le développement des infrastructures sont une priorité. Je dirais même la priorité des priorités dans le continent africain. L'Union africaine a élaboré une stratégie sur le développement prioritaire des infrastructures en Afrique. À travers le NEPAD et les autres institutions africaines. Le constat aujourd'hui est que le continent est très peu connecté. Nous avons mis en place la zone de libre-échange continentale. Elle ne pourrait jamais être totalement opérationnelle si l'on ne connecte pas physiquement les États et les communautés économiques régionales. C'est la raison pour laquelle une des conditions de la réalisation de ce grand marché, qui est la zone de libre-échange continentale, sa réalisation ne peut être possible qu'en développant de manière conséquente les infrastructures. Les routes, les chemins de fer, les ports et les aéroports, l'énergie, les ITC, tout ceci demande des investissements. Même si les études sont prêtes, les plans sont prêts, le problème qui se pose, c'est celui du financement. Question sur laquelle, à travers les fonds de pension qui sont très importants, comment mobiliser le secteur privé africain? Et enfin, comment développer des partenariats publics-privés et comment mobiliser nos partenaires extérieurs dans le cadre de doter le continent des infrastructures nécessaires. Voilà où se situe la problématique et c'est la raison pour laquelle je crois que l'honorable Raila Odinga est le spécialiste de la question et il a été chargé par l'Union africaine, justement, de trouver des pistes qui puissent nous permettre d'avancer sur ce dossier stratégique. Merci.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Makofi kwake, please clap for him. Thank you very much. An issue, obviously, which the chairman has emphasized, which comes under the framework of the High Representative of the AU, and on which he has worked very hard, is mobilizing resources for infrastructure in Africa and coordinating planning across our nations, especially in the energy sector, where if we synergize and encourage our interdependence, we have plenty of potential in Africa to generate power and therefore use it as an important source of development and infrastructure. Mobilization of resources and partnership is important. In this regard, let me now ask His Excellency Daniel Faure, former President of Seychelles, as a former president, what his experience was, and when he reflects today, what to come together as Africa in this particular regard. Mr. President.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I think, first of all, we need to remind ourselves that on our continent, we have institutions, some excellent institutions. We have also created our own 3 banks. We have the Afri-Exim Bank, we have the Trade and Development Bank, and of course we have the African Development Bank. And the African Development Bank, since the year 2013, has been providing to all countries on the continent data on where we are in terms of infrastructure development. In fact, the first data came out in the year 2013, and the last one was in 2021. In fact, it covered the period 2018 to 2020. I think it's important that we back our intervention based on facts and data. And these data show us where we are in terms of levels of development. The next step, and this is my opinion, it is important that Africa chooses the right infrastructure that will have the effective impact on the continent. And I want to give 2 examples here. I was recently in Botswana, where I saw a new bridge that was built. The length of the bridge is 971 meters, and the bridge crosses Botswana into Zambia, but provides a hub in terms of trade to cover 2 other countries, and this is Zimbabwe and Namibia. Now, for me, this infrastructure is strategic, is important. So as we move forward on the continent, we need to look at other projects. And here in Kisumu, I've been told by the governor, our moderator, as you know, Kisumu sits on the Lake Victoria, and they have been building what is called a new maritime corridor that will help citizens of Eastern Africa. And this is very good. This is the type of strategic infrastructure that is needed for our continent. The challenge that we have after COVID is where will the resources come from? Because what COVID has taught us, that we remain very vulnerable. Apart from the number one threat to the continent, which is climate change, we have other threats on our continent. So this calls for united action. And here when I talk about united action under the African Union, in the presence of our chairman, I am talking of coordination. I think our approach on the ground should not be fragmented. I think our approach on the ground needs to be strategic, but well coordinated, so that the outcomes are beneficial to our nations and population. So in answering the question of the moderator, let us make use of the 3 banks that we have and ensure that we have bankable projects. I repeat, bankable projects that fall within the vision that we have for our continent. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. The issue of bankable projects, strategic planning, and making good choices will be based on getting information and the right data. Comparative data among African countries coordinated by the African Union and other inter-African institutions. In that regard, I'd like to call